Welcome everyone back with another podcast. And the last time we've had a really long marathon podcast, uh, which was amazing. And today we are back with a new topic, and of course we are not that long of a podcast. But I believe that there will be a lot to encounter in the topic of cryptocurrency, and this is what we will cover as usual. Tommy and Patrick are with me.
Technology, considering like phones and smartphones.
So sorry to interrupt both of you. Can you re-say it because you were very silent? I solved it, just you were silent, so I'm sorry for that. Some technical issues. Just could you restart it or something?
Significant things beside those stuff that you've mentioned is that right now in the 21st century we are facing a new technology which is going to be with us for a lot of years in the future. I'm not just like talking about right now like in long-term stuff, but I believe in the short-term future we will use these technologies not just like cryptocurrency, but NFTs or NFTs as well, and not just like as a payment, but as a whole new internet, I would say. When it comes down to Ethereum, for instance. So I believe it's really fascinating, and when you get involved in this, then I believe is when you actually have the opportunity to prepare yourself for the future and to consider yourself being able to understand what's happening around you when it comes down to technology and science. And I believe it's one of the most, it's one of like the greatest things in life when you can understand what's happening around you, what surrounds you right now, what is the world driven by at the moment. And I believe it's like a power in your hand, in your bare hand, because when you understand these things, you can be prepared, as I've mentioned it before, and you can work towards to get involved more and to like make profit maybe, or just to take part of these kind of actions because you can.
There's so much to discover, so this isn't just some 1 hour and I will be knowing everything. I will know everything about it, and it's constantly changing, so we're just exploring this whole thing, and the world is finding out right now, and we are also. So, Roland, please, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts?
I mean, I think the most fascinating in this whole situation that is going on is that I believe since we started using money, there hasn't been um any huge developments, any huge innovations in terms of how we are buying, trading, and stuff like that. Because, like, first there was like the system when people just changed products for another product, and that was it. And then money came, and then they started using that sort of money, and more or less it stayed the same for very very long. Of course, there has been little enchantments, but like there wasn't a big revolution in it since the development of money. And what is really, really exciting is that I believe, in case of cryptocurrency, this is gonna be the next big revolution in terms of how we are buying and selling. Uh, and it has the possibility to be like a whole new way of trading, and very importantly, a whole new way which by our word is run.
Yeah, of course. It's really important to understand these things and to look into the future as well. I believe we should start off just by actually covering some basic factors and facts about cryptocurrency. So I'm really interested in your thoughts, guys, and in your knowledge, guys. Um, and I would like to, just like to ask you whether you, how how much you are like involved when it comes down to cryptocurrency, and when it comes down to, for instance, one of the greatest ones like Bitcoin or stuff like that. So what you exactly know about this kind of technology?
Well, I I I looked at it very very closely, but still I don't really know the specific words for it to explain it with those fancy words what they use. So uh, I believe, Patrick, you are the expert here, but still, it's well when you look at something like this, you really need to ask an expert because we are just young teenagers who were reading it on internet, but this is just our these are just our thoughts. I have to highlight that. So don't trust every single detail,
Yeah, of course.
but enjoy the explanation, please.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, thank you for mentioning that, because we are not experts. We are still learning about this stuff. We just wanted to get involved more and try to actually show to those ones who actually don't know, almost nothing about this stuff, because I believe all three of us believe that it's really important to understand right now, and it is like the most beneficial to understand this right now. These
Yeah, so
these
we
things, yeah.
we we jumped right into the center of this, but we should start by explaining the ground of it, the foundation. So what is really cryptocurrency?
Ron, would you like to talk about this, maybe?
I think it's still better if you do so. I mean, that's gonna be more
Right.
exact. So
All right. So yeah. So just imagine that like cryptocurrency is, there are currencies out there like the US dollar, the euro, for instance, or we have the forint right here in Hungary. But just imagine that these currencies, right, you can actually physically touch those, of course, and we mentioned that these like developments and these like increasement of technology led us to this kind of digital or virtual currency. And of course, to understand the whole, these currencies, these cryptocurrencies are secured by cryptography. Later on, I will tell you what is cryptography exactly is. So, and this cryptography makes it like nearly, and of course, like almost impossible to, double spend. Or this cryptographical system actually gives us one of the greatest like security of all time when it comes down to your management of money, when it comes down to storing your money, because via cryptography the blockchain technology was made, and the blockchain technology is actually what is like the safest place where you actually can put your things in. And when it comes down to, of course, cryptocurrency, it's money. Cryptocurrency is like a decentralized money, which means that it is owned by no one. So when it comes down to like the US dollar, it is owned by the US government, of course. And like all the governmental institutions, like the national banks and the central banks as well. It's really important to mention this, that this system is decentralized. It's really important. And so via this fact that this is decentralized, in the future, theoretically, in the future, there cannot be any kind of interference or manipulation by the government, which is like, I have to say it again, is the most significant thing of all, because when it comes down to money, it's really important to understand where your money goes, and of course to try to understand where your country's money goes and stuff like that. But via just trying to understand this system that we live in right now, to understand this system where your money is actually sits in a bank account and it actually does nothing, and right after you put your money into your bank account, then the whole governmental institution has control over it, which sucks, because of course we've heard about those institutions like here in Gjør, the Questor, when they lended out money and they went bankruptcy, and they claimed bankruptcy in the end, and most money holders who actually put their faith and their money into this organization, they lost most of their money or all their money. And via the blockchain technology, it never can happen. This is one of the most important thing, blockchain technology, of course. Later on, we will actually talk about blockchain technology, because when it comes down to money, it's important, but not just like when we consider money, of course, as well. So to understand this whole system, it's really important. It's really it's almost impossible at first sight. So you really need to go into this really deep in order to understand all the factors and all the sections of these kind of things. So it's really important to look up for more guys, and I believe that right after I've just tried to explain as simply as I could cryptocurrency, we should get involved into the history of cryptocurrency and the history of one of the main cryptocurrencies called Bitcoin. Because, of course, this whole podcast is, I believe, dedicated towards that specific currency, cryptocurrency. So, like, I believe it's enough, like, right, like for now, it's enough from the knowledge, of cryptocurrencies, because you don't need to know about, the special considerations, advantages and disadvantages. Of course, we will talk about that later, but I believe right now we should keep on moving. And of course, there are some types of, we've mentioned some like Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stuff like that. XRP, for instance. These are all cryptocurrencies. But like, we actually can, connect examples to Bitcoin, and via explaining Bitcoin in more detail, I believe we will be able to give you guys the most of our thoughts and ideas and knowledge about this specific stuff. So I believe that we should get moving.
Yeah.
So about Bitcoin, we don't even know who invented it. So who was the first guy? Who was the first group who imagined it and put it into reality? And about the future, so we've talked about these types. So like planet A, planet A, planet B. No, one or two type.
Yeah, civilization types.
Yes, civilization types. And about it's connected to that. So this money can be global. So that is the goal. So globally can be used and will be used. So this is like one. So type 1. And that is a huge improvement in the society. So right now we are at 0, and we're working towards it. And this idea is shown that this could lead to that type 1 generation, and that's awesome.
So I believe, Roland, you definitely should, just like explain to us and to clarify all the things connected to, this Kardashev scale, and the specific guy who actually put some thoughts together about this whole stuff. So
yeah, of course. So the situation is that back in, I believe, 90s, this famous physicist, Kardashev, invented a scale for measuring the development level of civilizations according to how much energy they can use up off of its host planets, star, and then galaxy, and so on. And this scale is measuring how the civilization is built up, how development we are, and we've got to do a lot. We've got to check a lot of technological developments in order to become an actual Type 1 civilization, which would mean using up all of the energy that is produced in Earth. And so now we're not talking about the environmental issues or stuff like that, way using up energy. It means using up all the possibility that Earth has in it. Just to make it more understandable, for example, type 1 civilization in their planet can actually control the weather, can make energy from natural disasters, and things like that. And in a planetary civilization, the situation is that most of the things are globalized, and or at least there is a globalized version of everything, which by every country, every people is connected through some stuff at least. To just make it understandable, we already have one thing that is globalized in Earth, which is English, which is using the language English everywhere. Of course, we are using not just English, but we have a sort of like unspoken agreement of how English is the spoken language of everything. When we're talking about politics, when we're talking about economics and stuff like that. And yeah, this is where Bitcoin gets into, because in order to become this type 1 civilization, we need to
Maybe
have
decentralized.
and not just decentralized. We need to have a global money. We need to have a money that is available for everyone in a sense. Like English does with languages, we need the same thing with money.
Or like just as, sorry to interrupt, but like just as social media does with entertainment and education, learning and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where Bitcoin kicks in. Of course, like firstly, this type civilization stuff seems like crazy shit, especially when we're talking about weather control and stuff like that. But the fact is that humanity slowly but surely builds up to this scale. Like I believe we are around 0.7, 0.8 right now, which is meaning that we are closer to actually be a type 1 civilization, and it's huge because if a civilization reaches type 1 and especially type 2, then they are literally immortal. Like the civilization cannot die out in a sense, because a type 1 and as well a type 2 civilization can conquer other planets, such as like if we think about conquering the Mars, and stuff like that. And so to just get a little bit back to check of Bitcoin, Bitcoin gonna be important in this, because if the Earth has as one exact money that can be used anywhere, like anywhere in the world, then actually our global economy will even be more together and will even rely on each other more, which could also result lots of collaborations between the countries, because in a sense they have to work together because they have the same money. Of course, like we are not getting dreams. It will have its downsides, and also it will not mean that the whole Earth will be one country or stuff like that. But it will mean definitely a better collaboration between all the countries if it actually gets to everywhere. And this is maybe the long-term goal of Bitcoin, to really be the currency of the Earth, I would say.
And this is happening. So this is happening right now because a lot of people put their money, their real money right now, real money, into this cryptocurrency, and therefore, so if we're talking about 1% of each person, that's a huge number. And if we're talking about 1% of Elon Musk's money, then it's even bigger. And with time, these money, this huge amount of money, put it into the cryptocurrency in Bitcoin, will change the world of money. So that will have has a higher impact, higher influence on people.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I can agree with that to 100%. Of course, social media plays a crucial role here as well. You have to mention that. Because most people didn't know cryptocurrencies till this time, you know. But as a matter of fact, Bitcoin was like founded in 2018, not 18, but like 2008, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sure of that because, you know, we've mentioned that this is like the historical stuff, you know, we can actually, it can be traced back to this whole scale of Kardashev, but the first, you know, block was mined in, I believe it was mined in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, and it was called like the block of Genesis maybe, so it was the first block that was, you know, it was mined. And, you know, I've mentioned mining Bitcoin because I believe most people don't even know where this comes from. So when we're talking about, right, you know, like, would you like to explain to me?
No, I would like to say that first, you were the one who told me what is really a Bitcoin mining. So we were, I don't know, drinking some beer, and that was a feeling. So like talking about the Earth's biggest secrets, mind-blowing things. And congratulations! So thank you for sharing that, and because you released these endorphins, so like started my mind on wanting to know more about it. I actually learned more about it. So please explain to everybody there, because I'm sure this is so interesting that if you hear about it, you won't forget it and just put it in the trash. That's okay. No.
Yeah.
That won't happen.
Yeah, of course.
So what is mining a Bitcoin?
It's really interesting. Of course, we've talked about it before. So you know, guys, that I'm telling you guys out there. So when it comes down to mining, you literally, I believe most of you, tries to put together some thoughts about, you know, like getting to the, you know, like the mining place, you know, under some rocks, you know, and trying to get Bitcoin as, you know, as some kind of, you know, like stone maybe, or something like a precious metal. And it's not. Bitcoin is actually mathematical equations and codes inside of computers. And to be specific, like this whole process is, when you mine Bitcoin, is like is when you mine a Bitcoin, it's released into the circulation of the currency, definitely. So this is how actually this whole system, this whole infrastructure actually can build up. And when we're talking about the circulation, it means that just imagine that you are sitting in front of your computer, because like back in those days when it was like 2009, via just your computer and a graphic card, you actually could mine a shit ton of Bitcoins back then. We have to be full transparent about the fact that we've already mined 18 and a half, approximately 18.5 million of Bitcoins, but there are 21 Bitcoins in the system, so we still have some things to cover. And in order to yeah, of course, and in order to understand, like why we still mining, because it should be easy, right? Like when time flies by, the more you mine, then the harder it gets to solve these equations for your computers, for your hardwares. So there's another thing that usually people forget about, that you cannot sit in front of your computer 8 hours a day or 12 or 16 hours a day just trying to solve equations. So of course your computer does that for you, but you really need to invest loads of money in order to get the right hardware for these stuff, to get the right graphic cards, to pick the beast of computers in order to mine all these Bitcoins. So like I've mentioned that these are equations. Yeah. So just imagine that you are sitting at your desk and you're trying to solve a Rubik cube, you know Rubik cubes, right?
Yeah.
Then after you've solved one, you put that away and you put this Rubik cube at the side of your desk. Just imagine that there's a strong line where you put your Rubik cube over, and there's a box, like you've just made a hypothetical box of this with this strong line, and you put your solved Rubik cube in there. This strong line right now actually like the equivalent, maybe this is the right
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, yeah. This is the equivalent of the blockchain. So when a Bitcoin is mined, then it is literally transferred into the blockchain. And this is where I believe I really should explain what a blockchain is. What is exactly blockchain? Because we've mentioned this a lot of times since we've just took off this podcast, So it seems really complicated, because it is. But it's like it's like a database of like collection of information, and it is stored, like I would say, via using electricity, or electronically, maybe it is stored like electronically in a computer system. This information data is structured like in a format where it filters the incoming Bitcoins every single 10 minutes. So, meaning that every single 10 minutes, a Bitcoin is transferred into the blockchain. And like back in those days when it was like nothing to mine Bitcoins, it was of course less time. So like we have to understand that these large databases can achieve like one of those greatest and most powerful level of computers, which are quantum computers. This technology is stronger and more powerful than that stuff. Or actually, it's on the same level, but as an individual, you actually can't lend your hand on a specific one. I mean, like a quantum computer. So there is like this side of the blockchain where it's filtering, structural, database, and information collective. There's the other side, which is a cold storage. It has a storage structure as well. So when you actually buy a Bitcoin, then you really don't want to, so yeah, this is the other thing. So when you actually buy a Bitcoin, you actually don't get like a simple thing, but a big ass long code. It's built off from like numbers and letters, so, and you definitely want to remember those, so it's really important to store them in something, which is the cold storage, which blockchain actually offers you under the name of the ledger. The ledger is the simplest technology of all time. It's a hardware where your code is actually caged in. And to understand like this, when you buy a Bitcoin, your code is sent to you, then you need to buy a ledger from that specific broker, from that specific company that you've actually bought your Bitcoin from, and then you can actually transfer your code into this kind of ledger. This is like the cold storage stuff. So was it like a clear explanation, or shall I just go into more details? But I believe I shouldn't, because of course there's a lot of things as well, like we can mention all the transaction processes, like a new Bitcoin entered the circulation, then like while mining the Bitcoin, is actually not one simple computer that does that. Let's just imagine that there's a pool where all these miners sit in, and inside of this huge pool, all the computers actually works together in order to mine one Bitcoin. And when it comes down to paychecks and salary of these miners, it is decided about the fact that how hard your computer worked for that specific Bitcoin, because there are some measurements out there which you can actually by those measurements you actually can see the spreadsheets of exhibit A mined one half, like one half of 3 Bitcoins, and then there's exhibit B who just mined like 0.2 Bitcoin, so he actually gets less of that, so yeah, it's quite complicated to understand these processes, but I believe this is one of the most important things, that it has two sides. It has the cold storage and it has the circulation system, which is an information collective and a database.
So we're solving equations which are getting harder and harder till we run out.
Yeah.
Will we run out? And also I have to mention that, so right now we're talking about Bitcoin, but there are several other cryptocurrencies. So we have a lot of opportunities. So one question, so a commenter asked that is Bitcoin headed for a failure? What do we think about it?
Roland?
Yeah, Roland?
Yeah, I mean, so actually I believe this is both connected to the all these other cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, because I have thoughts on both and try to make it into one sentence or thought. So I believe that actually Bitcoin so far definitely seems to be the cryptocurrency, like the one which we will use. This has a couple of reasons. First of all, I believe that it has been there for the longest, and that's like a huge advantage. And second of all, and that I believe more important, Bitcoin, because of these equations we were talking about, these lot of equations now have huge values, and these equations worth a lot, and this is why, if I'm not mistaken, a single Bitcoin worth $60,000. Correct me if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it's under that right now, but
It's under.
approximately
It's
yes. Yeah.
approximately, yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that Bitcoin is definitely not heading towards failure, and so far it seems to win this fight but for between cryptocurrencies. But as well, I like to mention that um there is
Like,
like a possibility that we will not just use one cryptocurrency, but
of course.
we will use several others as well. Um, because all these cryptocurrencies have different special features, I would say. And for some things, Bitcoin is better, and for some, Bitcoin is not that good. And so there is a high chance as well that we will simultaneously use more cryptocurrencies. Um, but anyway, uh, to answer the question, that Bitcoin, I think, will be there. Will be will be one of these cryptocurrencies which we actively use in the future.
Well,
Yeah, I can agree with that to 100%.
success breeds success. So when Bitcoin is mentioned a lot of time, so this will be only getting higher and higher number. When something is out of ordinary, lots of people will get to know about it because it's out of ordinary. So Bitcoin, I think, will be getting more node. Will be got more node because it is famous, and because it's famous, it will be more famous eventually. And what?
Yeah. You should finish your sentence right now because I need to put together some thoughts as well. But I will try to just like to reflect to your sentence right now as well after you just told it.
So yes, success breeds success, and therefore between the race of cryptocurrencies, I'm sure Bitcoin will win. But in the race of money, this well, that's another perspective. So in that race, another personality will get into the way, so that Bitcoin has characteristics that this money of ours now can't.
Yeah, of course, I can agree with that to 100%. But on the other hand, you've mentioned that it is famous and it will be. I don't believe so. You know why? Because right now social media actually is on fire just because of Bitcoin right now and because of cryptocurrencies. And I've mentioned that most people didn't really actually care about Bitcoin and stuff like that until it was on fire on social media because of the huge growth in numbers and in market cap and capital. And it's an unfortunate thing because this is what I believe happened to a lot of things as well when it comes down to social media. We won't have this argument right here, but I'd like to mention some stuff. Rest in peace. But when Kobe Bryant died, the whole world was like sad. They were like melancholic, But after this long time, because I believe like at the end of January was like the 1 year, I believe it was like a commemoration of Kobe Bryant. Um, no one cared. No one cared, So when it comes down to Black Lives Matter, no one cares about that neither right now. Because this is like, the power of social media, that it can gather a lot of people. But because of the liquidity and the trends on social media, the liquidity of these trends, because to be honest, these are just like trends. We have to mention. It's an unfortunate thing, but these are not considered as constant things in our lives that we have to fight for. For instance, when it comes down to Black Lives Matter, but like this movement. But I believe, like, to be honest, guys, tell me your honest opinion. Have you seen something in connection with Black Lives Matter since the riots in the US? Because I haven't heard a simple thing. And this is what I believe will happen to Bitcoin as well, to Ethereum as well, to all these altcoins as well, like Dogecoin, XRP, stuff like that. And this is like an unfortunate thing, because humanity needs constant, dopamine hit by the latest trends, by the latest could be the next, step of our lives in, brackets. These stuff, they humanity needs that, unfortunately, and I believe it sucks. But
I have problems with that. So like, we're talking about money right now. So money has been with humanity for thousands of years, and this isn't something that you can forget, because you need money in everyday life.
But
it's not just about seeing something on social media, telling your friends, and then forget it. Because if Bitcoin will take over the world, it will be used. If it will be used, we don't know. But if it's happening, then you have to live with it every single day.
and you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact is that I can sort of agree with Tommy, but I believe that Bitcoin now is just actually topping all of the social medias. Like, you can literally hear about Bitcoin everywhere. But I think it will decrease. It will definitely decrease. But it's like won't be forgotten. It will, so in a sense, stabilize. Like, people will search it, but like not all the social media will be concentrated on Bitcoin. Just people will casually search it when they need so. Because as just Tommy was explaining, the situation with money, and if Bitcoin is already presented, then you most likely want to get to know some things about it, at least just for getting more money. I mean, I believe a lot of people do research this stuff to get more money, to make money, which is completely understandable. And I think Bitcoin will decrease in popularity, but it like won't be outdated, because we will start to actively use it. And like there will be more and more, I don't know, YouTube videos, Facebook posts, Insta posts, or even classes about Bitcoin. Just it won't be a top thing in social media.
You know what's the only problem with this?
Yeah.
With like both of you just stated that like Bitcoin is like the new, the new currency right now. And unfortunate thing, but I believe the large percentage of the humanity actually doesn't get our system right now neither. And how could you expect those people to understand a fully different system?
But the fact that for
So,
for
it's based on this. It's based on this system. It's not like a whole differentiated stuff.
but if you think about it, that you do not have to understand the whole thing in order to research it, in order to get to know part of it. You can get to know part of it. Just think about literally us. We did not understand Bitcoin, but we got to know part of it. We got to learn part of it. We can make an opinion about it. But we know we completely understood Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, and in social media, you usually do not understand things completely because, like, you've got to be an expert for that. And you still will be interested even if you cannot understand all these blockchain and stuff like that. Or what I was just saying, you at least will be, or a lot of people will be interested in making more money, because with Bitcoin, that's like no argument, you can make more money. It's a really, really good investment as far as I know.
Yeah, of course, but in order to make more money with this, you need existing right now a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Just what I mean is a lot of people will also see it from this point of view and try to get to know from this point of view.
But you know what I just told you right now is like, I don't really want to move on with this argument, just try to emphasize myself more because I believe you've missed me before. So when it comes down to this system of money, when we use dollars, forints, euros, the basic currency that we know from the existence of our lives, when there's a large percentage of people who don't really get involved into money as a section of their lives, then I believe those people wouldn't be able to get into Bitcoin as it is requested to understand. Because like, oh yeah, there's Bitcoin, oh yeah, there's blockchain technology. Blockchain actually gives a safe space to my money, but we haven't mentioned the possibility of quantum computers. We haven't mentioned the possibility of the split of the blockchain when it's get hacked. We haven't mentioned the blockchain errors, those emails which are actually sent out to governments. We haven't mentioned the fact that the governmental institutions really wants to get involved, and via this whole Bitcoin idea and this imagination can be ruined via just letting in the governmental institutions. We haven't mentioned these things, and this is what this is like one of these things that really triggers me right now, that how could you expect those people to understand a new currency when they actually don't even care about their existing one?
Well,
It's connected.
Looking at things you just told us, I suppose our podcast will be much longer than expected if we try to explain all of those.
I think we shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should By the way,
But that was like yeah, we should move on
one
actually.
perspective. So another comment
Yeah,
came.
that's what I wanted to.
So I will read it out loud and please tell me your thoughts. So, what do you guys think? The Bitcoin is based on people's trust. So, therefore, can it be the problem in the future?
No.
Because yeah, if you look at closer, money only represents value because we believe that it has value, and I completely understand that. Because if we think about right now, dollars or euros, these are only papers, and yeah, it has gold, some gold, but still gold is also just something that is rare. Therefore, we look at it that it has value because when something is rare, then it's expensive in a human mind. And so back to the question, will it be a problem in the future?
Ron, would you like to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the first half of the question, of course, until a certain point, it is based on people's trust. I mean, if we just think of the investments, you've got to trust for that. Of course, it's more of like it's way more complicated of trust. Like not just saying that, hey, I trust in Bitcoin. No, of course, there is a whole shit of knowledge behind that. But I think partly it has to do something with trust. Because all of the things that has value in our world does something with trust, because we trust it enough to use it. And I think that it won't be really a problem, and that's because. But so if we assume that Bitcoin gets worldwide, or just gets used regularly, then it will be more than the trust of people. Then it will be a possibility for a lot of economical improvements and also individual income increasements, and also the using out of the new technologies that Bitcoin provides. And even if this trust would decrease or increase or whatever, these benefits would just make Bitcoin practical, and then if it's practical, people would just use it.
Yeah, I can agree with that to 100%. Actually, that's what I wanted to actually say as a whole. So of course, trust is important, but as the market cap, expands, then there will be, that point of no return where it must be one of the currencies.
Yeah.
Like right now, it is like 1 trillion market cap, around 1.2 trillion of dollars. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so I don't think that. Shall we mention other stuff, like, because I believe there's a good question that we've mentioned that, like, I believe it was not in best way, not the proper way. So it's like, is Bitcoin headed for failure, or what do you think of it? So what do you think, guys?
Well, it has more value, I think, than like gold, because it's science, it's math, it's equations that well, I don't know how will help us, but the opportunity of improving is in these. So when so improving in these fields will get the society along our way. So we can't get more gold from the earth because there are a set amount of that. But with science, we can always get deeper and deeper understanding the whole part, the whole universe, and I believe humans are working on that. So not mining all the good stuff under the surface, but to understand how everything happens in our lives. And with these equations, I see a potential of it.
Yeah, of course.
Is it understandable?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, of course.
Or not?
Yeah, I can agree with that 100%. But I believe, considering like the situation right now, of course it's right now heading to some kind of failure. Considering the market, considering the flow of the currency, so of course it needs support to rise again. But it will be a constant thing. So there will be some corrections. There will be some support lines. There will be some resistance lines. As well. So, but this is how it works actually. So, but like answering this one specific sentence here, so it is entirely up to us to determine how much it is worth. So to a certain extent, yes. So like, but we've just covered this, like trust is what actually gives it the most power, but in the end this trust turns into a whole infrastructure, and this infrastructure won't be like demolished in one of the in just in like seconds of snaps, so just in a snap, it won't happen. And this is why it's really important to build infrastructure on trust among these things that can actually surround these kind of stuff to trustworthy, so it's like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a great question. If we are the one who influences this, or these things influence us, because I believe that it's actually both at the same time. Because these things actually can develop due to our trust. But if they develop, then we will trust more. If they are better, if they are more useful, we will trust more. But then again, they develop more thanks to that. So like, if you think about it, it's both influences each other in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vice versa, of course.
Yeah. Into who gave actually the first shot? That's a great question. Like, if the development or the trust?
I believe the development, of course. So like, there was like this group of people who were under the name I just don't remember. Of course, Hal Finney was included as well. Computer scientist who is actually right now lives in a carbon carbon genetic freezer because he's dead, unfortunately. So he was involved in this, and this group actually, this group was running, and I don't think so. It runs right now under the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So like I believe this, let's just call them, this name, Satoshi Nakamoto. So Satoshi Nakamoto actually, I believe, did something marvelous and remarkable, and those first people who were involved in this really had to work harder and harder in order to spread the knowledge and spread the existence of this. And of course, getting into the market, getting into the marketplace, it's really hard, so it's like when when there's potential, the influential people and those ones who has huge brains will actually join those movements when there's potential. And like the some kind of brothers, I just don't know the exact name of these brothers, like those brothers who actually made Gemini, and they are in a close connection with BlockFi, where you can actually deposit your bitcoins. Exactly, like I need to look that up right now. Like Gemini.
Take your time.
Funders. These were the Winklevoss brothers. Yeah. So for instance, they saw the opportunity. They were big brains in this section of the economy, like considering money and the latest technologies, considering currencies. So they saw the opportunity, and they actually built up a whole organization and the whole industry on Bitcoin as well. And it's crazy.
Yeah. I think.
So
yeah.
this is where it starts,
Yeah. And there is, I think, great comment. Just read it. It's not a question. I will just read it in. So like the past when we use barter trade, we switched after a while. It is only working now, but then there is no guarantee that it will be so later. And maybe in the future we switch again. And yeah, if we consider that we can just guess the predictions of the future, there is no sure thing, and like how especially if we're talking about economy, how the economies will change, as sort of unpredictable, and it's due to things that so things that we do not expect, and countries do not expect come. And to just make it clear, no one expected to have coronavirus pandemic, or like no countries expected that one. And then it came and it hit economy, and it will probably make the economy reform in a sense after or when we are actually getting out of the crisis. So like I think these switches are just constant in a sense.
Reflecting to the comment, so we always use what we think is the best. So like in the past, barter trade was the best idea and the most useful in that area, in that time. And they moved on to the next, of course. And then they moved on to the next. And then we will move on to the next. But if we find a new solution to the problems we face in everyday life, we should try it out, because why not? So there's an opportunity for a better life, for a better way of using our money. Then we have to see what it has for us. So we shouldn't stay in our comfort zone. That we were talking about in a previous episode. Because if we don't try out new things, we won't see what it has for us. I think that is the main part of it. To see if we could literally globalize something so important in every people's lives.
Yeah, I can agree with that 200%, of course. It's important to understand these things. It's important to seize the opportunity. It's important to do something different every single day, looking forward to something else. Do your best. Get out of your comfort zone, of course. And not just like locally, but globally, not just like individually, but like as a whole community, as a whole like planet, as the word. It's needed. It's needed to concentrate on the future, live in the present, and, you know, just to gain some information and some additional knowledge from the past, you know. It is what it is. This is what we have to do. And when it comes down to, for example, barter trade, there are still some areas in this world where barter trade is a thing as well. So this can be another argument, actually. So, like, do you guys think that this, like, type 1 civilization stuff can happen eventually? So eventually it will, I believe so, but I believe it will be a long run. It will be like it will be, you know, reached in the long-term future, because considering the fact that there are 800 million like people around the world, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm mistaken with this number, but there are those people who are suffering from lack of, you know, water supplements, food supplements. They are starving. Literally, they are starving right now, and they don't have the accommodation facilities that we have in Europe, for instance. They don't have job opportunities. They don't have, you know, any kind of, you know, basis to build their future on, because their family is ruined by every single sector in life of life that you can actually imagine. Yeah. So this is how I believe our world is so diversified. If I'm not mistaken, this is the right word for that. Like, right now we're concentrating on establishing a new way of paying, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, stuff like that, Ethereum, the next internet. Then on the other hand, we still have hunger of 1800 million people. We still have wars. We still have, like, catastrophes that actually ruins, as a matter of fact, thousands of lives just in a momentum, you know. It's crazy to think about this, you know, as well.
Yeah, of course, because, like, so what we see as a pattern on Earth is that we are definitely developing, but we are not developing at the same speed like people around the world, countries around the world. Of course, due to lots of factors, lots of historical, political, economical factors, and I believe that what we see has always been presented. Because if you think about it, back in the ancient times, Romans having baths and having roads and channels were actually enormous steps from the nomad nations around them. But and this was also thanks to how these countries developed in different speed, and it's of course with time just grew bigger and bigger, because the countries that has been developing are developing ever since, and so the countries that just trying to catch up still suffering from enormous problems, and of course the two types of countries as well influence each other, and I believe that this is the within our society and our economics and politics, the gap is getting just bigger and bigger, and this is why it can happen that in some countries we trying to have a decentralized money or going to the Mars, and in some countries people don't have water. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I completely agree. Moving on with the comments, so it's crazy. Every podcast is full of comments. Thank you guys. So we partly covered this. So if it's unnecessary to figure out what's going to happen in the future when we don't really have control over these things, so like hunger and stuff like that, and that is a hard question for everybody, I think, in the whole earth, because like food, we are building cities to give people's home, and therefore we destroy our fields where we grow our food to stop hunger. And this whole fast forwarded world is not able to make everybody in this world fully satisfied with everything. Of course, we are working it, but the human, and now we are very, very far from our current topic, so Bitcoin.
Like I believe we, yeah. Would you
sorry.
like to
Sorry.
continue your thoughts? Would you like to?
I think I'm lost in my mind. So what were you started?
So like I believe like the only way to answer this question, it's really hard to answer exactly, just as you've mentioned it before. The only way to keep something good, to keep positive things in your life when it comes down to your present, is to concentrate on the future. And I can actually give you a simple example. Concentrating on astronomy and astronomical, researches and stuff like that, discoveries. In the end, we will be able to generate new kind of like resources, get new like resources from out there, and we can actually transfer those into this world, and then it will solve a lot of problems, of course, I believe so. So like, of course, you definitely should concentrate on both things, like what you have here and what you have out there, but in order to, keep, moving on, like with the technology and the improvement and development of that, you need to concentrate on the future, man. It is what it is. you need to do what is like the most beneficial for humanity. And right now, the most beneficial stuff in issue for humanity is to develop cryptocurrencies, to develop rockets in order to reach that martial life, in the end. So yeah, it's important.
Yeah, so we have huge problems, Earth-sized problems, and that cannot be solved by the usual shit, because humanity tried and tried a lot of times, and that had not solved yet the problem. So we're keep going on, trying new things, because if we think about history and we learn history to see these opportunities and moments when we learned something and that helped the everyday life a lot of times. And I think this is the next step, a huge jump that we can make. And we are going to make eventually. The length of the time is the question. So how long will it take to make it happen? Thank you.
Roland, are you still with us, actually?
Yeah, of course.
The unfortunate thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit of Ethereum as well, and about Nifties or NFTs. But I believe we don't have enough time for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should. I mean, I'm really interested, and we didn't really cover our thoughts on the positive and negative sides of Bitcoin. So, in just a regular way, what do you think? Why is it good? Why is it not good? Because I think it will be important to cover that as well before we are ending the stream.
I'm gonna be like quick as possible. When it comes down to my thoughts and my ideas, I believe Bitcoin has nothing wrong with it. Thanks. That's it.
Wow. We don't really know the downsides of Bitcoin. So we don't really understand it. Most people don't understand it, and really nobody understands the consequences of using it, because we didn't put it into practice yet. So we can't say that it doesn't have downsides, but still, well, I think the partly bad side of it for most people is that it's unusual. So most of people would say that, but of course that is bullshit. So when we're thinking about something new, well, it may be the greatest change in our lives. Maybe not, but we don't know.
Yeah, I think like of course what Tommy is saying is very true. It's hard to say until we do not actively use it, like in lots of places and stuff like that. However, I believe that what at least got me thinking on the pessimistic side is that no one actually, I think no one has idea how could a decentralized global currency, if we are talking the end result of Bitcoin, would react to such events like crisis or economical changes, which is, I believe, in a sense, is worrying. Um, because like, because like, if when an economy's money inflated and it become devaluated completely, then they could rechange it according to the value of other monies. But like, uh, it's worrying that in case of Bitcoin, we don't know if that's like possible. Of course, there may will be ways to solve, or maybe the solution will be not just using Bitcoin. No one knows yet. Just I wanted to little bit get into um that it has its worrying sides. Because like because like if like the countries are connected throughout a common currency, then their economy will be much more dependent on each other. um and so um, a flow can be easily started, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, on the positive side, I think like Bitcoin has a lot of possibilities in it. Especially if we think about how it is a decentralized money, as there is no control, no governmental control over. I think we didn't really mention the tracking of spendings. Because with Bitcoin, theoretically speaking, we could track everybody's wage and how much they earn and spend and stuff like that.
We haven't mentioned a lot of things, so it's a
Yeah,
huge topic. There's so money is missing to see
yeah.
the whole page.
Of course, it just clicked in on that. It's a big advantage of Bitcoin, or could be a big advantage,
Of
especially
course,
if
when
we
it
think
comes
of
on, yeah,
politics.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say, exactly.
Yeah. Um.
But you know what? And of course, there's a possibility that this domino effect or ripple effect of this whole Bitcoin, infrastructure and stuff, it will fail. Because right now, in most countries, when it comes on to politics, unfortunately, the leaders are grandpa and grandma.
Yeah.
They don't understand the latest technology. They don't understand this, era of life, which is a real unfortunate thing, because either way, they they just need to be downvoted, and we will need some, fresh meat out there, or those countries actually won't get into this Bitcoin thing in time, and they will be let out in the end, and they actually won't benefit from this huge ripple effect of Bitcoin right now, what is happening. And it's an unfortunate thing to think about right now, because we can see on social media this kind of ripple effect. Of course, we can mention Elon Musk, we can mention Netflix, we can mention Facebook, we can mention these stuff all around the world, that like Elon Musk just put 1% of Tesla's cash into Bitcoin, for instance. So it's crazy.
It definitely is.
And you know what's crazier? That it was predicted.
Yeah.
We have a great comment, by the way.
And the influence Elon Musk has on people. will start the domino effect. So that that action, that 1% will eventually make hundreds, thousands, clearly, literally thousands of people putting their money into Bitcoin without actually knowing everything about it. It's just believing in him, and we humans are stupid in this thing. So we are just following the crowd mostly, and I think this will has a great impact in cryptocurrencies, because if it starts to grow, it will grow much bigger than we expect because of humans in individual. So we just rolled a ball of snow from the mountain, and it won't stop, in my opinion.
Yeah, Patrick, you started saying something.
Yeah, there's a mentionable comment, by the way.
Yeah, go on.
Like, I don't know where it should start. Like, yeah, there's like, there are like high transaction fees, which would be even higher if it were to be more adopted. Has large price volatility. Yeah, that's definitely true, making it too unpredictable to be used as a currency in our everyday life. This is where Ethereum comes in, actually. But I believe we don't have enough time for that. So, Bitcoin is great. Bitcoin is the father of cryptocurrencies, but sometimes the father needs to get some sleep, needs to be pushed to the side a little bit, and to give some room for Ethereum, which is not just like a coin, which is not just like a currency, but it's the whole renewal of the internet and of AWS, which Amazon uses, and stuff like that. But I believe we don't have enough time for that. And of course, this is when comes in, the non-fungible tokens as well, the nifties. So yeah, via these transactions with Bitcoin is quite, there's a huge volatility, of course. The price is unpredictable. It's not constant stuff, and because of this huge volatility and because of the huge liquidity of the market, it's impossible to trade Bitcoin with the same amount of dollars that you've paid with yesterday. It's impossible. It can never happen, and it's an unfortunate thing. And this is, of course, why we still why we still believe in more in our existing system, because like the volatility rate on a larger scale, it's when it comes down to like the US dollar and the euro, or the US dollar or the Canadian dollar, the New Zealand dollar of New Zealand, stuff like that. Or the British pound. It's the volatility rate. It's still on that specific scale. It's still great, but when it comes down to real life, it actually, compared to the volatility rate of Bitcoin and the liquidity of the market of Bitcoin, it's not that like large when it comes down to this normal system that we have right now.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to say is Godson, we will continue this conversation privately when we finish this podcast.
Uh, wait, yeah, okay. So do you have anything else to add, because we are at 1:45? So,
I think that's just some closing sentences, right? Like, yeah, we definitely should like at least invest our time into Bitcoin, even though we don't have like money or stuff like that. But on the other hand, if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend to put some money into this shit. And it's not because I'm an expert or something, but like in 15 years time, I don't want to say to you that I've told you so or something like that, because the rise of the market definitely will happen. It will actually exceed the market capital of gold, which is now $10 trillion. So we still have some space to cover. We still have $9 trillion to cover. We still have $10 trillion. We still have 20, 30, 40 million dollars, trillion dollars to cover. So Bitcoin is not a short-term investment, it's a long-term investment, and you definitely should put that into your brain. And when it comes down to investment of your time, it's definitely worth it. You need to know what's happening around you. You need to know what is blockchain technology, because 5 years from now you will definitely be using it. 5 years from now you will pay in Ethereum at your coffee shop. When it comes down to New York City, Los Angeles, these already developed cities and stuff like that. So you need to be alerted by these technologies. You need to broaden your horizon, open your eyes, and concentrate on the future. Forget about the past. Who cares about that? No one. Who cares about that? No one. Yeah, it is what it is. Focus on the future, man.
That's a wise man.
yeah, see, actually, the fact is that living in the 21st century, I believe, is just fucking amazing, thanks to the fact that
It's a gift. It's a gift.
because we're seeing all these developments and all these changes around the world, and I believe it's actually amazing. And that we are not in an era where one thing is revolutionizing. We are in an era where everything is revolutionizing, and I believe that it is fucking cool to be part of it, or at least to see it developing it. And if you wanna see us more on the YouTube channel, then a subscribe and also a like would be really appreciated. As well, share would be just miraculous. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and see you in the next video or podcast.
Thank you, and see you guys.
We will see. Thank you for your attention.